You're listening to episode 1 of the Halton Hills podcast. Today, I'm going to explain what is the Halton Hills podcast all about and how you, the listener, can benefit from it. Let's get into it. Welcome to the very first episode of the Halton Hills podcast. I am your host, Darren Williams, and I can tell you that I've never been so excited for an opportunity that I have right now. So, what is the Halton Hills podcast all about? So, the Halton Hills podcast is really about passionate people talking about things that they do in their life. It could be work-related. It could be community involvement. It could be charitable fundraisers that they're organizing. You're going to meet people that you never thought before, or people that you know. And you're going to get to hear them on the podcast, how they think and what they're up to. When you're going through such challenging times, the purpose of these conversations with these community members is to really help each other out. You know, when problems happen, we'll call them when life challenges come up, we sometimes need to ask for help, but we just don't know who to turn to. So each week, what I wanted to do is bring people on who work in all different types of businesses, all throughout our community. And what they're doing is they're solving some of the most biggest challenges, and they're going to share with you, the audience, their own insight and philosophy to how they're actually getting those results for their clients. I want to be able that I can connect you with people who care about you and your challenge. And then what they want to do is they want to help you overcome those obstacles so you can be put on the right path and start going down a happier lifestyle. When life problems happen, and they do come up, it just might not be today, it might be tomorrow, it might be 2 years from now, but when it does come up, I want to be able to give you some information and insight to professionals who know how to get through it, to get through the difficult time. There's somebody who's actually doing it day in and day out, and it's getting the results from being in a really bad situation and then saying, if you continue to go down that road, this is what's going to happen. But if you do this strategy, if you take this step and you take this action, then you're going to get to where you need to go. So I want to bring people to you that can give you the wisdom, philosophy, and some knowledge, some insights that you never thought of before. Like you didn't even think about them when it came to this specific issue or challenge that you were having. You're going to get to hear how they think, what their philosophy is. And the best part of this is that as a listener, you're going to be sitting at home in your car listening to this and deciding whether or not you want to work with them or pursue more information from them. Either way, you're going to have more knowledge about a specific topic than you would, spending time Googling. How many times have you Googled anything, find out that it's not actually relatable to what it is that you're looking for? For me, I always find it's US content and it doesn't really apply to Canada. So it's going to save you time is really what I'm getting at, is whatever the challenge, whatever the topic is of the week, we're going to be able to give you some strategy that you can apply in living in Halton Hills and living in Ontario. The big purpose of this is to help people in our community who need to be helped. We can't help you physically right now, but what we can do, my guest and I, we can have a conversation. And we can have a conversation about some of the biggest issues and topics that relate to their profession. The more educated that you are in the topic, better your chances at succeeding in getting out of that challenge. So when problems happen and life problems and challenges do come up, I want to be able to give you that insight so you can ultimately be happier in your own life. There's a famous saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And it really applies to this show because sometimes those teachers are younger than us, and sometimes they're older than us. But there's one thing that's really for sure, is that they are getting the results that we want. And if we want those same results, we all have to do what they're doing. And it's that simple. When the right people help you at the right time, they will give you a roadmap. They'll give you like a success plan to follow. It usually has steps. You need to do X, then you need to do Y, then you need to do Z. And when you follow these steps and you do it consistently over time, you're going to get to the result. You're going to get to what their result is, which is their success. So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking at taking the guessing game out of the problem and then put somebody who knows the issue, who has the experience right now in their life, and get them in front of you. And this way, you will minimize the amount of time for answers to all your questions. I understand that not everyone can relate to every issue. But if we can help 1 out of 10 people just each week, then I feel like we're making success. Because now at least you have answers to those questions that you did have, and now you're going to take the next step that's going to get you to what your result is. And it's usually out of pain or discomfort. So what are some of the topics that we'll cover? And there is no topic that we will not cover. If you were to dive into one specific topic, the biggest one that we've come across is consumers paying off their debt. For 8 years in a row, Canadians' number one goal, their New Year's Eve resolution, was to pay off their debt. So my question is, how do you do that? What's the strategy? For 8 years, we're trying to figure out, how do we pay off our debt? Who do we need to talk to about this? Because obviously, if we're still in debt and we've been saying it for 8 years, we might need to change our philosophy. We might need to change our strategy. There's something within us that we have to change. That's just one topic that we'll cover. We'll get into discussions about, how to pay off all that debt and then invest in the future. We'll talk about what happens when you get into too much debt, where you just can't pay your bills on time and everything is just causing so much stress that you're pulling your hair out. Like, what do you do? What do you do when that happens? When you lose your job and you can't pay? We'll discuss even strategies to save money. Maybe save money to buy a home. Save for retirement in the next, 20, 30, 40 years. Save for your wedding. Save for that much needed vacation that you were planning, but you never got around to executing, So let me ask you this. When you have to refinance your mortgage, when should you have a fixed mortgage rate and when should you have a variable? Here's another question. Do you know what the difference between a mortgage broker and a bank mortgage broker? Do you know what the differences are? It's just something that you never thought of before. So if you're in the market to buy a house, or if your goal in the next 3 years is to save money, apply for a mortgage, you're going to want to know, what's the difference between a mortgage broker and a person who works at a bank that's a mortgage broker. There's insurance issues. Should I, as a tenant, get tenant's insurance? When should I get life insurance? What are the risks in purchasing insurance from a big box insurance company? What should I look into so I'm protected in case there's water damage or a car accident? Like, what are some of the hidden costs that's associated to insurance? They all talk about that you get one at-fault insurance. So what does that mean? Another topic is, wills. When should you get a will? And what age do you need to be at to get a will? Should you get a will like when you're 25? Should you get one when you're 55? Should you get one when you're 40? Why do we need one? And when should we get one? And maybe hopefully somebody can answer that question. There's conversations of, how do I lose weight? What should I eat? What diet plan should I go on? Should I go on Weight Watchers? Should I not eat that? You end up shitting all over yourself. So we have to figure out what's the best strategy for you. Let's meet people in all industries that have a certain philosophy about, aerobics, about yoga, about circuit training, about kickboxing. Like, let's talk to all of them and see, why are they so passionate about it? What is it? What is it that makes them just get up every day and just want to, do their thing? It's one of those things. The list just keeps on going and going. Any challenge that people are faced in their life, we're going to get people on the show and we're going to help them understand what their best options are to get through the situation. My goal after every single show is to provide you with wisdom. Less knowledge, more wisdom. We live in a world where there's so much information on the internet that we're overconsumed with information. We're so informed of communication is that we pay more attention to our cell phones than we actually do the road. And so what we're starving for is we're starving for wisdom. We need people to take us out of the information stage and into the wisdom universe. So each and every week, I'm going to drop a little wisdom on you. It's going to be called Wisdom Wednesdays. Wisdom Wednesdays is going to provide you with the wisdom that you need in order to make decisions in your life that come up from time to time. And I hope this podcast will educate you and you can use as a tool to help you make effective decisions. So my goal after every show is to provide you with wisdom that you can use that relates to your challenge. And the best thing about Wisdom Wednesdays is it's not only about who I believe to be really good at their profession or their cause. You might know somebody as a listener. You might know someone who can provide some wisdom on a particular topic. We want to get their insight and strategy. So if you know someone, email me, find me on the interwebs, and pass along all the contact information and let me know and share with me why they're so great at what they do. I'm looking for passionate people who care about other people's challenges. That's what this show's all about. I'm a huge follower of Tony Robbins. He's a huge influence in my life from the age of 25. And he said very simply, if you want to get the results that other people are getting, you need to find those people and duplicate exactly what they're doing. Because if you do that, you will get their results just like they are. That's it. Let's find the right people with the right systems and strategies that are going to get the results that we want. If we can do that, then maybe in 2 months, 2 years, whenever the time comes, you'll pat me on the shoulder and say, hey, Darren, I listened to your podcast that day. You were speaking to so-and-so, and I took the advice of that person, and it really changed my life. That, for me, is a win. That is a big deal. And so 1 out of every 10 people, that's who I'm looking for. That's what this show is for. And that's going to wrap up our show today here at the Halton Hills Podcast. I'm your host, Darren Williams, and I love for you to just take a moment, head over to iTunes or where you were able to download this podcast and leave a review for us and some comments. And if you want to take this conversation offline or if you have some ideas of the show, go to facebook.com/Halton Hills Podcast and let's connect there. If not, you can reach us and any other additional podcasts on our website at haltonhillspodcast.com. So until then, until our next episode, guys, stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.